In the world of chess, the famous Garry Kasparov, who is widely thought to be one of the best players of all time, tried to stop the meteoric rise of a young prodigy named Magnus Carlsen. The fight between the experienced chess titan and the rising genius captivated the chess world and started a rivalry that would change the course of the game. Prepare for a high-stakes match that will involve brilliant strategy, mental strength and an epic battle of ideas that will decide the future of chess. Bobby Fischer, Garry Kasparov and Magnus Carlsen are the primary subjects of discussion when it comes to determining who is the best chess player of all time. There are those who believe Carlsen is the best, despite the fact that others maintain the opinion that Kasparov is the best. While Kasparov, who is now 54 years old, retired in 2005, Carlsen, who is the current world chess champion, continues to compete at the highest level on a consistent basis. Let's look at their careers and analyse one of the few games that they've ever competed against each other so that we can make a comparison of their skills. Carlsen starts the game by moving his pawn to position d4, and Kasparov immediately reacts by moving his pawn to position c6, which is the Slav defence. As each player develops their pieces, the opening moves into a queen's gambit become fewer and further between. Carlsen strengthens his defence by moving a pawn to the third rank, e3, but Kasparov responds by moving his queen to the fifth rank, a5, pinning the knight on the third rank, c3, in order to protect the pin. Carlsen moves his other knight to position d2, reducing the impact it has on the action in the middle of the board. Carlsen defends his knights by moving his queen to position c2, while Kasparov strengthens the pin by moving his bishop to position b4. Both players decided to castle, and then Kasparov decided to launch an attack, which resulted in him capturing Carlsen's piece on d4 and taking control of the centre board. In response, Carlsen moves his knight back to square b3, performing a fork on the enemy queen and pawn. Because of this, Kasparov is forced to retreat, which gives Carlsen the opportunity to recover control of the middle of the board by capturing a pawn. A further exchange in the centre of the board gives Carlsen the opportunity to position his bishop on c4, giving him a little lead in the game. Both players are running out of time, so Kasparov moves his queen to c7 and Carlsen plays his rook while the clock is still running. The kingside pawn belonging to Kasparov moves to h6, forcing the bishop belonging to Carlsen to retreat. The move by Kasparov to place his bishop on square d6 made the position of Carlsen's king more vulnerable. On the other hand, Carlsen gives himself some breathing room by advancing his kingside pawn to the h3 square. By moving his bishop to the square h2, Kasparov was able to checkmate Carlsen's king and force him to relocate his king. The game continues with Carlsen eventually capturing Kasparov's bishop after a series of exchanges. Carlsen, who is only 13 years old, seizes the initiative by aggressively assaulting Kasparov's pawn on the c6 square. They exchange pieces and Carlsen wins an edge by winning the exchange and threatening to swap his knight for Kasparov's rook. Kasparov's rook is exchanged for Carlsen's knight in retaliation. Kasparov threatens to check Carlsen by repositioning his queen to the 6th position on the board, g6, because Carlsen has doubled his pawns on the g-file. Kasparov is able to come out with a slight advantage despite Carlsen's blocking move with his queen and offering a trade that Kasparov accepts. Both players continue to play accurately as the endgame progresses, passing checks to one another and keeping their positions as compact as possible. Carlsen uses his rook on square h1 to check Kasparov's king, expanding his advantage to almost 2 pawns in the process. In response, Kasparov moves his rook back to b2 with the intention of gaining a piece of compelling Carlsen to move his king back to g3. As we move farther into the game, it appears like a tie will inevitably occur. In the end, both players come to an agreement that the game would end in a draw, which highlights Carlsen's incredible feat as a 13-year-old battling head-to-head with the world champion Kasparov. That's all for today. We'll be right back. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one.